Hi, today's talk is about love. Love is the fuel of passion, believe it or not. And I wanted to talk to you about how we all dream with that love, the one love, the person who will look at us into our eyes and say, I'm in this with you, no matter what, no matter when, no matter where. And the reason why I ask you this question is because I want you to picture yourself loving and being loved. And if today you don't feel that way, well, let me tell you what, I think your fire may be off. But why? We live in a society that needs love. Everybody's craving for love. Why don't we give that love to each other? I have a theory. Now, you may or may not agree with me, but I still hope that you have fun. Today's talk is about how Disney turned off our magical fires. And I say fires because we have a lot of things to be fired up about. But it's just the inner flame of believing in love that is constantly being damaged. So, I have something fun for you today that I hope you enjoy. Because it's precisely what I am talking to you about on what we were taught as kids, what love is.
So this is love. So this is love. So this is what makes life divine. I'm all aglow, and now I know.
And now I know
The key to all heaven is more.
Don't you want to keep watching the movies? Feeling any inspiration inside? Who doesn't dream with that kind of love? Who doesn't want to be looked into their eyes and say, do you want to dance with me? Let me open the door for you. Well, guess what? That's not what we find in the dating market. And it feels like a bucket of ice. Like the challenge? It feels like emptiness, loneliness, and cold. So once upon a time in a land not so far away, Disney actually wove intricate tales about princesses, princes, and happily ever afters. So since the first movie, actually in 1937, Disney has just given the world some of the greatest love stories. Like being kissed without giving consent, being a teenager and being forced to get married to someone you don't think you'll either know or love, being put in a castle to protect your honor until someone else came save you. That kind of love. And these stories that have actually been like magnified and captured on our hearts and imaginations, they talk about magic, but the magic that we feel in our hearts actually, it gets turned off by that conflict between expectations and reality. So the problem with these movies and this imaginary, because the movies are not the problem itself, let's just say that way, the problem is the picture that it paints you, literally, right? And not talking about the videos or how drawings were made. No, it is the linear, simple structure monogamous, destined to be eternal kind of love. And that speech is simply not true. As we grew older, we start questioning, why is it that I can't find the one? Where's my other half? These fairy tales actually painted love as a grand adventure, right? And as a quest to find the one. So Cinderella's perfect glass slippery fit in her shoes, Snow White being awakened by a kiss, Ariel, she left it all for the prince. I mean, after all, he's a prince, right? They don't involve, the real relationships aren't, they're not. There are no princesses and princes. They're not fairy tales. They don't involve knights or castles or soulmates. Real relationships are actually messy, complex, ever evolving. Because that's how we as human beings are. We are social beings, but we are also animals. There's a primal instinct that we have that cannot be 110% put into fairy tales terms. So as we're starting to grow up, and I say we because there's a generational effect, definitely, in these movies. We're starting to realize and expect, like I was saying before, oh, now I want a partner, so let me date him for a year, and then he better have ready the ring, because I'm almost 30 and I still want to have kids. It's a complete valid decision, as long as it is thought and not based on, he's the love of my life, the one, and that's it. As long as you understand that you're not the half of anything, that's when you can live to your fullest. And a few years into marriage, when we finally find the one, our love starts to kind of dim. And we'll start thinking, like, where did this go? How did this happen? This person that we once thought was the one, sometimes we can no longer stand. This person can become someone different because we are ever evolving. Remember? You are. So the things you wanted from a partner today are not the things you wanted in the past. Even if you don't have a partner, that's completely valid. Asexuals and aromantic people suffer as being appreciated by persons and authentic selves, because love, romantic love, is just screwing up our brains. So the myth of the romantic love is actually one of the biggest causes of divorce. If you think about it, at the end of the day, it's like purchasing something on Amazon. You try it for 30 days. You name it, couple years, 6 years, whatever. You didn't like it, so you return it. Because let's face it, you buy a computer, you don't want to keep a computer for the rest of your life. Of course, it's not the same. But you see, from the myth of romantic love, we move to the myth of this person is mine. Ownership is just not something that is compatible with love. So on my personal journey, I wanted to take some time to kind of bring to your attention, like, some awareness. So Have you ever wanted to have a happily ever after? Is this something that you live up to? Just take a couple seconds to think about it. Is this something that is generating you sadness, frustrating, desperating, anxiety? Like my friends, they find their loved one, and what about me? Or I'm in a relationship and I'm just not happy. Or I'm super happy. I wish my friends had that too. Or my kids. So how do we know that we're living to our fullest? And I wanted to share my personal journey because it's very easy to talk from the theory, the academic side, and say, oh yes, this romantic love. Like, let me tell you, Disney's not the only guilty about this, right? So capitalism and economy and you know the gist of it. But the truth of it is a social mechanism to maintain your expectations because the world needs monogamy to justify a lot of the things they do. So, ever since I was 17, I fell in love with the father of my oldest kid. We were together for 10 years. And I cheated so much. I can't even tell you like how many times. Maybe the number of people, not the number of times. He cheated on me too. And there was love. I loved him. And you can say, what? Do you love, like you cheated and you loved him? Well, yeah, that's what my friends said. My friends were always questioning me. Why? Because here's the thing. I fell in love with my lovers as well. And so they still can't, but at that moment they couldn't understand why and how come you love more than one person at a time. That's just not possible, according to Disney, or religion, or law. And the thing is, it's just not acceptable for most of the people. So what I did is got my heart broken into a million pieces. Because eventually he did, at some point I stopped cheating. Eventually he did not. And he found someone who he thought he was more compatible with. And he left, leaving me with a 27 heartbreak moment that really transformed my life. Moving, forward a couple of years, I find my now partner. And I told him, I had no idea how this was called, but I told him, listen, I really like you and I want to have a relationship with you, but I just don't know that I can have a relationship with someone who does not think as an open relationship as a possibility. I knew I couldn't keep myself for just one person. It's just not who I am. You know how you can love different friends? There's the friend you do sleepovers with, the friend you go partying with, the friend who helps you being accountable to your compromises to yourself. Everybody brings something different to your life. It's unfair and impossible to get it all in just one person. Because to begin with, you have to give yourself everything. And then the rest is a good bonus added to your life. And so in this personal journey, I found myself embracing my true nature. And I dated exclusively during 2 years. And right after I had my second baby, my baby with him, we started practicing non-monogamy. This was 4 years ago. And today I have 3 partners and I could not be more in love with my nesting partner. the one that I live with. We raise our kids together. We dance. We make plans together. And we also have secrets together. So when I date someone, I come home and tell him what I lived. He's my best friend. And he gets who I am. So how do we reignite this magical fire, you would say? And if you want to know more about this story, you're just going to have to follow me on social media because there's not enough time to tell the whole tale. But how do we activate or relive this inner magical fire? The first step is go back to your infant curiosity. The same way you embrace this magic, embrace curiosity. Question everything. Sometimes, there's this analogy of the frog. The frog, if you throw her on a boiling water pan, she'll jump right on it, like out of it, because she knows she's gonna die. But if you put a frog inside of a bowl of water and you start incrementing the temperature, she won't realize it until she dies. Do you want that to happen to you? You better kiss that frog so it turns into a prince. So question everything. The notion of the one, the notion of love. Maybe monogamy isn't for you, or maybe it is, but from a very intentional and conscious decision. We must ask ourselves, what if love isn't just a single flame? What if I'm the flame and I just keep getting sparks from other places? If you just, if you have a nesting partner, it doesn't mean that if you have other partners, you love one least or less than the other. It's just a very poor vision of love. Don't you have enough love in your heart to give to many people, regardless of the type of bond that you have? So question how they have told you to manage your love. Aren't you tired of people telling you how to live your life? And I also wanted to help you out, right? Because sometimes just feeling bad may feel overwhelming. Maybe we're not as bad as we think we are. And the reason why I say this is you are not the only one who might have struggled or are struggling with relationships and the myth of love. So I wanted to give you some tools of the sign that your fire may be off. The first one is monotony, right? So as I was saying, you just don't realize that it is happening. Routine settles in and it becomes your comfort zone, and it can extinguish these flames within you. Lack of curiosity. If you stop asking questions about your partner's dreams, fears, desires, both you and your partner may still feel like you're not getting enough. And so your fire may dim. Fear of vulnerability. Vulnerability fuels connection. And if you shield your heart, your fire may be flickering. And I know it is really scary. Vulnerability is the one thing that I believe it's withholding the society to build more successful relationships. From work to friends to professional, we are all vulnerable, but we're so afraid to admit it. And then passion. You ignore the passion that you have. it isn't just physical, it's intellectual, it's emotional, it's creative, it's ignoring all these aspects of your life because you are feeling probably depressed or neglected, or maybe you feel really happy but you just kind of know you stop being who you were. Eventually your fire will dim. And also ignoring this self-care, neglecting that self-care that we need to embrace, it's the worst thing we can do. Yet it's the most difficult one because at the end of the day, we want a prince to come save us. Or a princess. So this is actually the Disney effect, right? Distinguishing from magical tales, the myth of the one, spiritual guidances that tell us we're supposed to love only one person. It has a lot of consequences. The first one is unrealistic expectations. And this goes from friends to being a couple, like a boyfriend, girlfriend, to polyamorous relationships. They also have big expectations. It's like love has this whole responsibility of fulfilling people's life. Romantic love. When you can get so much love out of a lot of things, especially coming from within you. And Disney portrays this monogamy as the only one size fits it all kind of solution. Well, maybe you're just not a Disney person. It's important also to keep in mind that this has an impact at an epigenetic level, right? Research actually suggests that our social experiences can influence our genes through epigenetic mechanisms, and belief in love myths held since childhood can shape our neural pathways to believe that we have to behave in a certain way to fit this. So we may even pass this to future generations. Do you want your kids, your nephews, your cousins to go through the same deception that you went through? This is disappointment. Like, they sold us something that was never going to work. Well, if it does work for you, I'm happy. But if it doesn't, now you know that you have tools to become a different person, to become the best of who you are, to understand where is it that I lost it? Where did I lose it? What happened? And it's so empowering to finally understand the truth. Eventually, it becomes a burden. It can feel like a burden, but it is not. It is an opportunity to take responsibility for who we want to be, for who we are, and for where we want to go. So what can I do? What can I do to reignite this fire? Question yourself. Question all the time. Where do I want to go? Is this what I want to do? What type of partner do I want to have? Who do I want to be? Define it. Okay, so maybe I want to try if I can relate with people of my same sex. So when do I want to do it? That's the goal I want to go for. And then compromise. Some of the actions you can take is look for communities that will empower your feeling of being a part of something or make you feel included. Talk to people who are going through the same thing. Look yourself at the mirror. Compromise with your own commitment, with your own desires and needs. And last but not least, be grateful. Grateful of the good things. Grateful of the spirit that you are putting in flames right now. Be grateful for being here and giving yourself the opportunity to relive your fire. I hope you enjoyed this presentation. I hope that you keep dreaming with magic, with love, but also with freedom.